Hello, and thank you for watching my week 2 discussion board. Today's discussion, I'm going to be discussing Max Weber's Bureaucracy, Mary Parker Follett's The Giving of Orders, Frederick Winslow Taylor's Scientific Management, and Elton Mayo's The Hawthorne Effect. The story I'm going to discuss is Max Weber's Bureaucracy. And the reason I chose this article was because I disagree with the idea of a tenured official. Even though on page 66, the third point, Weber states the following, it still feels to me that this theory gives a right of ownership to the position. I understand the concept of why Weber believes in a tenured official. However, I believe it has a negative effect as it can provide protection to underperforming officials. And underperforming officials should be easily dismissed and replaced to protect the investment of the taxpayer. To me, not being able to do that is a form of government bureaucracy that gets in the way of efficiency. And additionally, having low-performing officials protected creates low morale and leads to overall underperformance of the workforce, which creates turnover. And this is one of the things that Weber was trying to avoid. Well, as Mary Parker Follett's The Giving of Orders. And I really like and agree with Follett's main principle of the article of having a more collaborative approach where leaders have open discussions with their employees and to contribute their ideas. I find the particular dilemma interesting on page 81, second paragraph. Follett asks a question of how can we expect people merely to obey orders and at the same time take the degree of responsibility for which they should take. And unless we have open discussions with our employees on where they fit in the organization, how their work contributes to the organization's goals, then why would they take responsibility for an order? They do need to understand the demand of the situation, and Follett illustrated this point very well when she provides the example at the end of page 80 and on 81 about the boy who asked his mother, or the boy's mother asked him to fetch a pail of water. He didn't like to have to be told to go get it, but he did it anyways. And it wasn't because he was ordered to do it, but because he understood the demand of the situation. And that's human nature. In order for our subordinates to follow orders and accept responsibility, they need to understand the demand of the situation. And the only way they can do that is by having those open conversations. Next article I'm going to discuss is Frederick Winslow Taylor's Scientific Management. And I chose this article because I like the four burdens, the concept of the four burdens that Taylor discusses. The first burden is the developing the science. I enjoy this. I enjoy evaluating people, processes, and procedures to really look at my business and understand how I can improve it. The next burden is selection and development of the workers. And utilizing the science from the first burden will lead us to know exactly what type of worker that we need, what type of skill set they have, and where exactly they're going to be placed in the organization. And I think this is one of the most powerful ways to increase production, but also retain employees and to put them in the right spots. I think one of the hardest burden that Taylor identifies is bringing those two together, the science and the worker, getting workers to be extremely disciplined and not falling back on what they're comfortable with is both challenging for the staff and for the manager. And the last burden that Taylor identifies is a clear division of work. And this is a concept that shows up in other works too as well, Fayol, Weber, but really it was born out of Article 1 and 2 of the Constitution. The final article I wanted to discuss wasn't really an article, it's the theory of the Hawthorne effect. The lighting study that was done by Elton Mayo was interesting, but the other study that I found even more interesting was the relay assembly experiments. And these experiments were conducted on 6 women and observing their productivity of assembling telephone relays. And the study was trying to determine if changes in work environment, such as like breaks and meal breaks, reducing work hours in a day, would increase or decrease production. And the result of the study was that changing a variable did increase productivity, although it even increased productivity when it was changed back to the original condition. And this led the majority of researchers to conclude that the increase in production was due to the fact that they knew that they were being observed, not necessarily due to the change that was made. There were other researchers, though, that did think that the productivity increase was due to working together as a group, having a sympathetic supervisor, etc. And my personal opinion is I feel it's all a little bit correct, and I don't think there's one right answer. Even though I do agree that people's behavior does change when they know they're being observed, I also agree that people's behavior change when they have a sympathetic supervisor or when they do work as a team as well. and that builds that esprit de corps that Henrietta Foyle discussed. Watching my video. I hope you found these articles as interesting as I did, and I look forward to watching your videos as well. Thank you.